According to a newly released military document, it looks like the feds are getting ready to invade Texas. This is according to the Jade Helm 1-5. It's a joint military training exercise document. It's going to take place across 7 states for 8 weeks. And according to this document, it says residents may see an increase in aircraft in the area overnight. There might be an increase in suspicious activities, calls, and noise disturbances. And joining me in the studio is Joe Biggs. Now, Joe, you actually brought this to the attention of Alex Jones during the radio show today. It made it to the Drudge Report within about minutes. Yes, yeah. I mean, within the hour. Now, obviously, a training exercise like this can be really beneficial for our soldiers. So why is this one of such a concern?
Well, the thing is we keep seeing these small urban warfare training centers, these asymmetric warfare training centers popping up all across the country. Fort A.P. Hill that David Knight and I went to for about a week or so. Then there's another one in North Carolina that the U.S. Marine Corps is using as well. These are towns that look like urban America, soccer fields, churches, mosques, subway systems, all this stuff. And in the military, we have a saying, you train how you fight. You train in an area that will be like the theater of operation that you're going to be conducting combat operations in. So that's what makes me scared based off of that type of logic, using the military. You train how you fight. You train in the atmosphere of an area you're going to be training in. Why is this theater of operation, this training, look like America? And now they're taking this training from these small, urban training areas, and now they're moving it in real time to an actual number of locations across the country. That's something that people need to think about. That's something that should worry American citizens.
Right, and they're taking it off of federal lands and onto privately owned lands where they're going to now be getting citizens.
It's going to be in your
involved.
backyard.
Right, and they're saying, working in conjunction now with local law enforcement agencies, obviously going against Posse Comitatus Act right there with that, but just letting them know, hey, you might have some more people calling in about some suspicious activities, which what does that mean? Do I need to be concerned that there's going to be someone in fatigues with a sniper rifle outside my window just training for...
Well, one of the things that really caught my eye when I was looking over the document, it says, be aware of increased aircraft activity at night. Mm-hmm. And that's something I'm going to touch on more in depth later in a special report that's going to be coming up. But what you have to understand is me being a former vet myself, I've been in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've worked with special operations, Green Berets, Rangers, all the different SOCOM people that they have. And at nighttime, they go out in helicopters and they do raids. That's why it's concerning for me, because this is a snatch and grab mentality. This is what I think is going to happen. These guys are going to be doing operations in these towns via helicopters at nighttime, rappelling down, going to people's homes. You throw a bag over their head and you take them off. This is going to get the military prepared and trained and ready to start throwing citizens in FEMA camps. And this is something we have to be concerned about. And it's something that we're going to cover. We're going to look at very closely to make sure that it's not stepping out of the boundaries of what it should be, just innocent training. Mm-hmm. Because when I read this document, it gives me goosebumps. It pisses me off, quite frankly, as a vet.
Right. And you also point out how there's like 1,500 of these agents are going to be, it's like all of the special forces.
Yeah, it's the Navy SEALs, Army Green Berets, Delta Force. You've got Air Force Commandos. You've got the U.S. Marine Corps Special Operations Group, the U.S. Marine Expeditionary Fighting Forces, and also you have the 82nd Airborne, which is a unit that I used to be a part of as well, that's going to be conducting these exercises. And it's around 1,200 troops. But the main thing that we showed earlier was the map, how they have Texas labeled as red, how they have Utah labeled as red. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go look at the legend in that map, it shows you that these are hostile areas. Now, why would they label Texas and Utah hostile in this training exercise? I think one of the main reasons is there's a lot of military forces, or a lot of military troops, I should say, that come out of Utah and Texas and Ohio and all these other states. And we've heard time and time again that the government comes out and they say that returning vets are the number one threat. And this is why I think this is very concerning that they have Texas labeled as that. We have a lot of pro-gun, a lot of pro-constitutionalists, a lot of patriots who live in these areas. And I think that's why they've chosen this, because they're afraid that Texas could break away in a civil war against the United States and there'd be an uprising. And what they're doing is they're calling this unconventional warfare training. Mm-hmm. Now, unconventional warfare training is, by definition right here, our warfare activities consist of activities conducted to go after a resistance movement or insurgency. But you have to focus on the resistance movement part, because the patriot movement that's been going on, this liberty movement, has kind of kicked into full gear lately. And I think the government sees that. They know a lot of people are waking up fast, and they're trying to do the training they can to get ready for an uprising if it does happen.
Absolutely. And that it falls in line with a lot of other training manuals that we've seen. We reported on the civil disturbance operations. That was a leaked military police training manual. It came out in 2012. They were in that soldiers would be ordered to confiscate firearms, kill American dissidents. Prisoners would be detained in temporary internment camps and re-educated to gain a new appreciation of U.S. policies. Of course, the newly implemented U.S. policies after, martial law is put in place and there's a whole new set of rules. And so tell us a little bit. I mean, obviously, we know this is what you're going to be doing, a really in-depth report coming up, but you've got even more coming up after the show as well.
Well, yeah. Well, one of the cool things at the end of this video, we're going to air never-before-seen footage of Obama Deception 2, talking about these, government-run psyops in other countries that are now going to be operating domestically here in America. So this is something that it's going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people. But this stuff's been happening in little sections throughout the past few years.
Right.
We saw the uprising in Ferguson. We saw how they brought out that militarized police group and they controlled people. It was almost like a psychological operation on how that happened. And then we went out and exposed the Fort AP Hill. And then you have these tanks that are showing up at like Spokane, Washington, and the people's reaction to not liking that whatsoever. And then within the next year, California is supposed to be getting this large MRAP that I call the tankbulance. And they think just because it's going to have a Red Cross paint on the side that there's not going to be an uprising in the community.
Right.
So this stuff is happening piece by piece. But this right here, this operation, this Jade Helm 1.5, it gives me goosebumps, and it's something that I think people need to be very upset about. They need to research it themselves. Don't just listen to what we're saying. Go out here, go to the website. You can find it yourself, read about it, educate yourself, and stay tuned for more reports on this, because we're going to be covering this, because when the time comes, when this operation starts, I'm going to camp out there. I'm going to be out there in the woods every day, filming, recording, and finding out what is going on. Right.
And I just think it's insane that they would think that our patriots would turn against their own American people and they're going to train them. And I mean, it might just be a huge psyop on the military. But
well, one of the funny, the things that they said in the document is like they said that this operation will be conducted in Texas because Texans support military operations. Yeah, we support military operations in a combat scenario against a bad guy.
Right.
Why is our military training to conduct operations against American citizens?
Right.
Because why else would they be training here? Texas does not look like Iraq or Afghanistan.
Right.
I've been there. I've seen that. So this area, this is complete and total psyop. This is training. They're trying to get the citizens in the area used to military operations being conducted in and around them, getting that one-on-one experience, seeing soldiers with an assault rifle around them, the helicopters flying overhead, the tanks coming in, the MRAPs, so they can desensitize people to that. So when it does happen, they think it'll make a smoother transition. But I guarantee you right now, people in Texas aren't going to stand for something like this.
Absolutely not. And I think we really are being geared up for some sort of civil unrest. And it's just like William Binney, NSA whistleblower William Binney said yesterday, that we are now working with a government who has a country and not the other way around.
I mean, they're trying to force vaccinations on people. They're trying to take our guns. They're trying to ban the ammo. So essentially, if they can't ban the guns, if they ban the ammo, then your weapon is, essentially not, it's just a paperweight.
Right.
So they're trying everything they can on all fronts to attack us, to attack our rights, to take our liberties. And this is something that people got to be pissed off about, and we've got to do something.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to